do 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 do. Good evening, Gemma. Welcome to tonight's trivia. Kitty Koo, good evening. Welcome to tonight's trivia. Radcard, Mary, good evening to you, both of you. Welcome to tonight's trivia. Purple, welcome. Welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope everyone had a pleasant weekend. Interpeas, hey friends. Hello, Interpeas. Just finished streaming, so perfect timing. Didn't know where you were streaming just now, Gemma. I'm sorry, I missed it. Cement Shoes, good evening. Hello, hello, hello. Give it a couple more minutes here, and then we're going to get the trivia started. Wait for people to pop in. Right. Haven't missed anybody. Screwing it up, making sure I didn't miss anyone. Cheryl, I made it. Hi everyone. Good evening, Cheryl. Welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a pleasant weekend. All the trivia we're doing tonight is on Patrick Kearney, the serial killer. Patrick Kearney. And there are quite a few people who are famous in their own right who have the exact same name as Patrick Kearney and the same exact spelling. One was a professional football player who played for the Atlanta Falcons and the Seattle Seahawks, a lineman named Patrick Kearney, spelled exactly the same way, but no relation to this Patrick Kearney. But all the trivia questions are on Patrick Kearney and his associate. Dun, 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 dun. But as normal, there are 18 questions on tonight's trivia, including the 2 bonus questions, which I pick. And we'll get into that in just a minute here as we get going. You know none of these, Patricks? You know none of them? There's a Patrick Kearney also, right, Cart, that is, he was the CEO of Peterbilt. Another one that's like he runs a Kearney and Associates, he's in the legal firm. They've done work with Doctors Without Borders. You would think that Doctors Without Borders don't need attorneys necessarily, but they do when it was taking medical devices out of the country. Yeah, there's a lot of bureaucratic red tape when needed. Good evening, Lori and Mary Frederick. You don't know much about this one? Well, then we'll all learn something together tonight. All right, let's get this party started. The trash bag killer is what one of the nicknames that Patrick Kearney actually had by the media. They called him the trash bag killer. This is the 270th episode of Trivia Night. Most of them can still be, of the 269 other episodes, can still be found on my YouTube channel underneath Trivia Night, or just go to the playlist and search trivia. There are 2 different versions. There's music trivia, and then there's and music and Hollywood trivia, and then there's crime trivia. So But this is the 270th episode. Next, viewer discretion is strongly advised. And I mean that for this content. There is some graphic content in tonight's trivia questions. Content is covered on this trivia channel, my channel 401 Now, may contain graphic and disturbing content and is not marketed or intended for all audiences or anyone under the age of 18 or 13 by federal law. Anyone who accesses and is watching this under the age of 18 is either using a parental account or they lied to set up the account. It is not my fault if they are accessing this content. I must say this, and so should other content creators who are making content like this. It is not for all audiences, and I have to for the different venues that I am streaming to because I follow the rules. All right, next. General outline, we are playing only for fun. No one is better at this than anyone else. If you want to use the internet, a search engine, open up another window and use that to try to find the answers, be for you if you want to. It's only cheating if you believe it's cheating. Sometimes I open up windows and search out things even during trivia myself to, maybe there's more of a context to the questions. Hateful or degrading remarks towards another person playing this game will not only get you timed out, but will get you banned from the channel altogether, and you will never show back up again underneath that name. Put together 3 names that are associated with the same IP address, and you'll get your ass banned from YouTube forever. There are 18 questions, including, again, like I said, the 2 bonus questions, which are picked by me. All of the questions tonight come from kingtrivia.com, and the Did You Knows come from me and from the Did You Knows, and the last 2 questions, the bonus questions, come from me. These questions are not exploitive of the victims or families. These are for educational purposes only. All right, question number 1 is now on the screen, and welcome, Little Sandra. Welcome to tonight's trivia. Which one from below was Patrick Kearney's clinically diagnosed with having? Which one of these was he clinically diagnosed with having? Is it A? You guys can pronounce all these you want, but B is necrophilia. I know that one. Hebophilia. I don't know how you pronounce the first one, or is it D? All the above. Which one was Patrick Kearney clinically diagnosed with having? I didn't know what these were I knew what B was until I put this trivia together, but I'm telling you right off the bat, I don't even know how to pronounce A and C correctly, at least not, with any type of, a surety. But I wrote down the actual definitions to each one. In case you're wondering, while you're guessing, or if you know what the answer is, A, epophilia is it deals with a type of sexual interest. Necrophilia, which is B, is sex with a corpse. C, hebophilia, is sex with any child between the ages of 11 and 14. And D is, of course, all the above. Which one was Patrick Kearney clinically diagnosed with? That means for him to have a clinical diagnosis, he had to sit down with a licensed, I would believe a psychotherapist who can actually, give a clinical diagnosis of it. Lori in chat of phobia. Question number 1. The answer to question number 1, ladies and gentlemen, is D as in dog. All of the above. He was clinically diagnosed with having all of these. All of them. Not just one, but all of them. All right. I'm going to shrink the questions on the screen so I can put myself in my little window. There I am. Hello. Hello, everyone. I'm in my little window. Will in the little window. All right. Question number 2. Being one of only a few serial killers to ever have his IQ professionally tested, what was Patrick Kearney's IQ score? Was it A, between 96 and 100, B, 115 to 123, D, 180 to 191, or C, 180 to 191, or D, 165 to 171? So in order to have a professional IQ test administered, it cannot be administered by someone who has previous experience with the person being tested. It must be someone who does the testing, who doesn't know the person and is not aware of anything else. And it's usually a written test, but it must be a professional IQ test. He's one of only a few that has ever completed an IQ test. What? E, dumber than a doornail, says Inner Peas. Cement, 144,000. Hey, we're only on question 3. We already got that out. 144,000. Hello, Amy, and welcome to tonight's trivia. Sorry I missed you there. Little Will in my little window. When it comes to serial killers and that have been tested for IQ tests that have been professionally administered, ladies and gentlemen, only 11 serial killers have ever sat through a professional IQ test. 11. And no, I do not have a list of them, but when it comes to Ed Kemper, he has taken parts of 3 separate ones. So we kind of get an idea of where Ed Kemper's is around 160. But we don't know, about the other ones. It did not list it. When I tried to Google, and research the list of the 11, according to the bios that I read for Kearney, it mentions that only 11 have actually sat through an IQ test. I guess they haven't. They aren't in Mensa. If you're a serial killer, Amy, you cannot be a member of Mensa. They will remove you. There have been Mensa members who have actually killed, and they will revoke the Mensa membership. Yeah, and there's other things you can do besides that. They'll get you removed from Mensa. I have a family member who was removed from Mensa because they were members of what they called the Communist Party, even though they never associated with the Communist Party. But they were a Mensa member at one point, and they properly, framed the letter of their removal from Mensa. All right, question number 3. The correct answer is C as in cat, 180 to 191. 180 to 191, that is brilliant level of IQ test, a 180 to 191. Now, before anybody, jumps on that, and I have a note here that I would like to address, and the IQ test for when they give people that gave him a score between 180 and 191, that test is no longer administered as a test for IQ. They changed it in 1989. So he had to have taken the IQ test prior to that. Now the scores are a little bit lower, about 20 points lower, which would put him in the 160, 170 range. But they do not, in 1989, they changed the IQ test itself. So anyone who took it prior to 1989 got a higher score than they should have, I would guess. But there are still people out there who are, in the brilliant level. And in case you're wondering, my family member who was actually in Mensa, his specialty was in mathematics, and he worked for Northrop, the government subcontractor that built all kinds of different things, but mainly rockets and stuff like that is what jet propulsion is what he worked in. But he ended up retiring after he saved up his money, and he bought a damn lake in upstate of Minnesota. He bought an actual private lake, and he owns all the property around it. And he charges people to go fishing on his lake. Well, when he was alive, he's since passed. But all right. Anyways, moving on. Question: did you know Patrick Kearney was once offered a job with NASA when he worked for Hughes? Yes, Howard Hughes Airspace Plant. He loved the idea, but turned it down because he would have to have relocated to Florida. Yes. And if you're wondering, did he know Howard Hughes? I cannot actually confirm that he ever met Howard Hughes, even during the crazy years where he was shut in the hotel in Vegas. I don't know if he ever met him, but he worked for Hughes Aerospace at the time, and he was offered a job with NASA, but he turned it down because he didn't want to relocate to Florida from California. I know all about pie. Yummy, yummy, yummy pie. Can't wait till this week coming up. My daughter's going to make all kinds of pies. All right, question number 4. At the age of 13, Patrick had a fascination with death. Along with it, a new hobby. What was it? Was it A, killing cows for fun? B, killing pigs and rolling in their guts? C, killing chicken and watching them run around? It should be chickens, plural, but killing chickens and watching them run around? Or D, killing rats and mice? At the age of 13, Patrick had a fascination with death. Along with it, a new hobby. What was it? This does not say much for Florida. Right? I guess the inner piece. Beanie Babies. Oh, I've forgotten all about Beanie Babies and the Beanie Baby craze and people collecting the Beanie Babies. Collecting squishmallows? What are those? I don't know what that is. Cement shoes. Mary's D? I don't know. Yes, maybe D. Kitty Q is going with D. Reichardt C? Question mark? I've had to slaughter chickens when I was younger, but we didn't let them run around after you cut their heads off. We dunked them in a bucket full of water. Cut their head off, and then you stick them in a bucket full of hot water. It loosens up their feathers so they're easier to pluck. But you do what you do. We lived on a farm. That was part of our chores. Me and my older sister Chrissy. I had a good squishmallow. They look yummy. I have a fear of chickens. Oh, I'm sorry, Amy. Well, I can understand some people do have fears of chickens and other, birds and stuff like that. I know somebody who was afraid of geese, ducks. I'm not ducks, but geese. It happens. Nothing wrong with that. So did your dad? Fear of chickens? A little bit of Sandra's going with B. Will was a farm boy. What? Yes, I was, Reichardt. We still have the family farm in Wisconsin. Been in our family since 1915. My twin and I were attacked as toddlers, and we hate birds. Yeah, you can actually go onto YouTube, Amy, and you can type in that birds are fake. And there's a whole YouTube genre about nothing but people think that birds are fake. All right. Anyways, question number 4. The correct answer is B as in boy. Killing pigs and rolling around in their guts. He was tasked as a chore to kill the pigs for slaughter, and that was it. Just shoot him one time behind the ear, humanely ending the pig's life. But he took it a step further, and then he went, and by gutting them and then rolling around in their guts as they're spilled out on the floor in the barn. And then he went even further and he started slaughtering all of the pigs because he wanted to do it again and again and again. And then the family stopped raising pigs for, to send to market, and to butcher because they didn't have any pigs left. He killed them all except for a couple and they sold them off. Chickens aren't real smart. No, they're not. They're not exactly the smartest things out there. We used to also raise pheasants. We had a pheasant coop that was indoor pheasant coop, so they couldn't fly away or take off. Why the fuck did I eat dinner tonight before this? I'm sorry, so much shoes. Again and again and again. All right, question number 5. By 1962, Patrick Kearney was already a killer. He admitted to killing at least one hitchhiker in 1962, but maybe it was 2. How did he kill them? Was it A, he shot them behind the ear like he did pigs? B, he ran them over with his car? C, he stabbed them? Or D, he poisoned them? Question number 5. By 1962, Patrick was already a killer. He admitted to killing at least one hitchhiker, but maybe it was 2. Lentil soup. Good evening, Med Gas Guy. Welcome to tonight's trivia. I like lentil soup. The area where the 4 college students were killed at the University of Moscow, in case you want to know, about that geographic location, that is in the Polouse region, and it is one of the largest producers of lentils in America. More lentils are produced in the Moscow Pullman area and surrounding outskirts than anywhere else in the U.S. Interesting little fact about it. People would go to poultry market and get live chickens and would strangle it for you and bring home and cook. Made them read the Daybell's book. You like legumes? Jets Mom, good evening and welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a pleasant weekend. Legumes? Yeah, they have every year in Pullman, Washington, which is right next to Moscow, where the 4 college students were murdered. They have the Lentil Festival every year. It's a huge gathering. They have a fair. There's rides, rodeos. They have the circus rides. The Davis Carnival shows up, and they have side games and all kinds of things. But every year, the Lentil Festival, and then they have like a crafts fair and stuff like that. Because when I was in college at Washington State University, that was the only time my mother would come to town, was when they had the crafts fair, the Lentil Festival. Cashews are legumes. Question number 5. By 1962, Patrick Kearney was already a killer. He admitted to killing at least one hitchhiker in 1962, but it may have been 2. Why is it maybe 2? Because during his actual confession, he could not remember. Did I kill 2 hitchhikers that year, or was it 1? Yeah. He killed so many by the end of it all, he could not remember. Geez, how many did I kill that year? How did he kill them? The correct answer, ladies and gentlemen, to question number 5 is A as in apple. He shot them behind the ear with a Smith & Wesson 38 caliber pistol. and shot them at close range while they were in his car in the front seat. And then he would prop them up so it looked like they were sleeping while he drove down the road. A as in apple for question number 5. Will Chad can also add them to his portal. Question. Oh, did you know Patrick loved to enter sweepstakes and giveaways? He always wrote down his neighbor's address on the entry though. In case someone came looking for him, the neighbors would just send him next door, or not if it was the police. His neighbors were drug dealers and pimps. So in this instance, in particular, he lived in several different apartment complexes and townhomes, like multiple residencies within one building, like 4 residencies in one building, and there'd be another one in the complex. But he would always write down the neighbor's, address next door for the sweepstakes. If he won something, and people came looking for him, they knocked on the door and they're like, "Oh, you're here for a sweepstake." No, he wrote down the wrong address. He lives across the hall or next door. So then the person with the sweepstakes would go to the next door and they go, "Hey, are you Patrick Kearney?" But he loved it. Was one of those things he was always entering at supermarkets or wherever he went. If there was a sweepstakes involved or a giveaway, he entered them a lot, an awful lot, his entire life actually, from the age of 16 on. He wrote a song about him. I'm creepy, yeah, just creepy, and the down low. 38 at close range, yes. CTTV would have ruined it. Yeah. Yeah. Husband with the Moscow Mule drink. Moscow seems like a bad vibe. Murder in Moscow, and Corey Richens poisoned her husband with a Moscow Mule drink. Moscow's actually, and if you've never been there, right, Cart, it's actually not that bad of a town. There's a lot in Moscow, Idaho, besides, the University of Idaho campus there, just like Pullman. And back when I went to school at Washington State University in Pullman, Washington, there wasn't much there. It was just a college town in the middle of nowhere. They used to advertise Pullman, Washington as the farthest way you can get away from home without leaving your state. But there's a lot more there now. There's a lot of agriculture, a lot of industry, light industrial, not like a major metropolis by any means, but there's a lot there now. All right. Next one. Question number 8. How did Patrick almost always get rid of his victims after he was done having fun with them? And that is a quote from Patrick himself, having fun with them. Was it A, he buried them behind the shack? B, discarded them along the freeway? C, put them in dumpsters? Or D, dumped them overboard at sea? They say there is more in Pullman than in Moscow. I guess, Amy, Pullman is definitely, since I went to college there, the town is more than doubled in size since I went to school there. When I went to school there was a couple supermarkets, some fast food places like Arby's. First time I've ever been to an Arby's in my life that actually sold beer through the drive-through. Yeah, that's what kind of town that is. At least that's when I went to school there. And we used to do what we call beer runs. We used to go over to Moscow and buy beer and then bring it back to Pullman because it was cheaper in Idaho than in Washington State. I'm going D for Dexter. No clue. It's a good one, Jets Mom. But they're very well may be. I visit the Pullman, Moscow area once a year because I play in a golf tournament there. But that's about the only time I go there. I have some friends who just finished up this past year. They just finished up their doctorate, at Pullman, Washington. the University of Washington. Matt at YouTube made me late. Pigeon Mac, good evening. Welcome to tonight's trivia. We're only on question 8. JDR's in the house. Good evening, JDR. Question number 8. How did Patrick almost always get rid of his victims after he was done having fun with them? Quote from actually Patrick himself during his confession. He said once he was done having his fun with them, he got rid of them. But how did he do it? Patrick Kearney. They sold liquor in drive-thrus in Arizona. I got ridiculously fake ID in New York when you was well in high school and it worked. Wow. You did beer runs, Will? No way. I used to work at a convenience store, and young people used to do beer runs all the time. No, Reichard, we're not talking about like beer runs like where people steal the beer. We never stole it. We went over to the distributor in Pullman, and we were buying kegs of beer because they didn't have a place. Well, the bars in Pullman back then, we're talking back in the 90s, early 80s, late 80s, 90s. Okay. You could buy kegs of beer at bars, to go, but you could go over to Pullman, Washington and buy a keg directly from the distributor because of taxation. It was way cheaper. You can get like a keg. I don't remember exactly what the price difference was, but it was enough that we would waste the gas to drive all the way over to Pullman to buy the beers there. We didn't steal it. But that we just called it a beer run because, well, we would go over on Friday nights, buy the kegs, and then bring them back and have keggers, at our apartment. That's how we actually paid our rent. We would host parties. I had 4 engineering students that I lived with me. One was an electrical engineer, one was a chemical engineer, and the other 2 were design engineers majors. Out of the 5 guys who lived in that apartment, I'm one of only 2 who actually finished a degree. Mayhem the truth. Hey, the dumpster is a good place to put anything. Yeah. They sold liquor at the registered convenience stores in New Mexico when I was there. And in California, you can buy a bottle of tequila or Jack Daniels at a 7-Eleven. But well, that's probably my fault, right, Carter? I didn't even think about the other definition of beer run. The answer to question number 8, ladies and gentlemen, is B as in boy. Hence the name, the trash bag killer. He would sometimes cut them up and discard their remains up and down the different freeway systems in the state of California. They would find a torso here, a leg there, an arm there, a head here, maybe an arm and a leg in another bag, but he put them into trash bags and then discarded them alongside the freeway system for somebody else to pick up. But B as in boy, that's how they got the nickname, the trash bag killer. All right, it is now, after question 8, it is our normal break time, ladies and gentlemen. We take a 6-minute break. Do what you need, get something to eat, whatever you do, watch out for mountain lions. They're vicious. Barry did that. Take a 6-minute break, ladies and gentlemen. I had a friend who used to work at a 7-Eleven a couple towns over from where I live now during high school. And he used to have people come in and do what you call like beer runs where people would steal the beer. And 7-Elevens just started locking all their cooler doors where the beer was after I think 10 o'clock. 9 o'clock, whenever the last time they could sell beer at 7. And now that all changed later on, and they could sell beer up to midnight, but they couldn't, sell it after that. And then it changed from 10 to midnight, from midnight to 2. I don't even know what the law is now, to tell you the truth. I know you can't drink after 2 o'clock in Washington State. You can't drink in a bar after 2, or I mean, they can't serve you anymore. Last call. But I'm way too freaking old to do that kind of stuff. If I go out to a bar, I'm gone by like 8 o'clock and back home in bed by 9. Who here has seen The Green Inferno? Is that a movie, Mayhem? Ooh, it's a horror adventure movie. 1 hour and 43 minutes in length. The Green Inferno. It is a 2013 cannibal horror film directed by L. Roth, with screenplay by Roth and Guillermo. Okay, something. It stars Lorenza Izzo, Ariel Levy, Daryl Sabra, Kirby Bliss Blatton, Sky Fieri, Magda, Nicole. I'm not going to read all these damn names of people. The movie was inspired by a series as a homage to Italian cannibal films of the 1970s and early 80s. Cannibal boom, particularly Cannibal Holocaust 1980, with the film in a film, The Green Inferno. The Green Inferno premiered in 2013 at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 8, 2013, and was theatrically released on September 25, 2015 by High Top Releasing and BHT Tilt. The film earned $12.9 million on a budget of $5 million and received negative reviews from critics. Of course they do. I mean, don't forget, when it comes to negative reviews for movies, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the very first one, was panned by critics, as abusive and exploitive, and they told people not to go see even that. So it's a slasher cannibal film. Really interesting. I'm going to have to put that on my watch list of movies to watch. Thank you for letting me know that. Beer coins. I have beer coins here somewhere. I know I have them in my ashtray in my car. Little wooden tokens that are good for one free beer. I also have a whole bunch. You guys can't move this closer. These are challenge coins. I got a bunch of those too. And a buddy used to travel the United States, and he'd get them for me everywhere. He had beer coins, wooden tokens, but there's also people who make them out of plastic. Pretty brutal of a movie. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't bother me, Mayhem, but I'm going to put it on my list of movies to watch. Ellie Roth, directed by and written by Ellie Roth. Why does that name sound familiar? Ellie Roth, born April 18, 1972, American movie director, screenwriter, producer, and actor. Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Actor, film career, and Residence Dog, a homage to Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs. I've seen that. I saw that at a independent movie festival. Resident Dogs. I knew that name sounded familiar. Cabin Fever. No, I've never seen that. Hostel. Thanksgiving Hostel 2. Endangered Species. Death Wish. Ooh. Did he make one of the Death Wishes? Ross 2018 remake of the film Death Wish opened with 2013 $13 million box at the box office. The film is centered around the trauma surgeon who turns to ventriloquism after his family is attacked. The film is panned by critics as pro-gun propaganda. Death Wish. Death Wish is a good movie. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're almost back. 10 more seconds. Hide your heart, girls. At least coming. Not so anonymous. Is Anonymous in the house? Did I miss them? Miss Anonymous? I'm scrolling up here. So, all right. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Question number 9. Oh, first I want to give a shout out to our Patreon, my Patreon supporters. Thank you to each and every one of those who are still sticking around and for Patreon while we me and my wife are going through the Patreon and cleaning it all up and changing things over to different levels. But thank you to everyone who's still sticking around. All right. Question number 9. Several times Patrick Kearney was almost caught. It would be much sooner than later, though. When was he actually arrested for murder? When was he actually arrested for murder? Was it A, July 5th, 1977, B, June 23rd, 1976, C, May 5th, 1978, or D, October 10th, 1977? Three Dog Night song. I got some Three Dog Night albums over here. Probably 3 or 4 of them down here on the shelf. I can't get to them because the way I have the table situated now, there's a chair against that bookcase. Green Inferno synopsis: first horror as boring as Daybell book, then it turns gross and has every stupid, unbelievable ending. That's it. Huh. Madagascar D. Just guessing. Inner Peace 1999. Who's your favorite serial killer? Mayhem? Ed Kemper. If I have to pick one, and the only reason why I pick Ed Kemper is because I'm more interested in the psychology behind what he, and how he became him, the serial killer. But Ed Kemper. I'm not interested in their crimes because so many serial killers are exactly alike and they do the same grotesque things. Some might be more graphic and sadistic than others, but they're still taking an innocent life. I'm interested in the psychology about how an individual becomes who they are. Smith shoes on his birthday. I thought it would have been Ed Gein or Albert Fish. Gein is definitely interesting. Fish, not so much. And I don't find a lot of things that Albert Fish did that too extreme or uninteresting. Interesting. But question number 9. The correct answer is A as in apple, July 5th, 1977. I learned a lot about the individuals. That's the interesting story. Yeah. Did he put the girl's head on a stick? Ooh. All right. Question number 10. For most of Patrick Kearney's killing spree, what did he do for a living that gave him the freedom to hunt and kill and dump his victims? Was it A, electronics salesman, B, electronics scrapper, C, electronics engineer, or D, an electronics TV and radio repairman? And Ted Bundy, for the same reason, I also found his pornography theory interesting. Yeah, I'm going right now. Those 8 minutes of break time go by. Bundy to me is interesting in his cunning and smooth talking ways. How he was able to convince people that were highly intelligent that it's like, this is not the murderer that you are seeking. Kind of like, these are not the droids you're looking for. These are I am not the serial killer that you are looking for. He was able to have interactions with law enforcement throughout his entire life while he was killing Ted Bundy, and able to convince them that he was no one of interest, that he was just a plain individual, a college student, someone who was smart and well dressed and well put together, and that the person they're looking for is the shaggy, creepy guy hiding in the forest. Lemon Pie. Good evening, Lemon Pie, and welcome to tonight's trivia. We are on question number 10. What did Patrick Kearney do for a living that gave him the freedom to hunt and kill and dump his victims? Yes. How about Russell Williams? Very interesting individual. Cross-dresser. Yeah, he did. With Anne Rice. Worked the suicide hotline. And there's a story that Ted Bundy also helped save a child from drowning. It's like, how can you have this, altruistic, side of you, and then also be, a serial killer? Carl Panzam is the most brutal serial killer. Coming up, stay tuned, Cement Shoes. Carl's trivia is almost done. Almost done. I don't know if it'll be next week, but I'm almost done with the trivia night for him. I work on 3 or 4 different trivia nights at the same time, putting the questions together, so they're never in any order. My daughter went to Anne Rice's macabre ball this year. Oh, masquerade. I can actually read. Anne Rule and Anne Rice wrote vampire books. Anne Rule also wrote Loves Music, Loves to Dance. If you've never seen that movie, Loves Music, Loves to Dance, I highly recommend it. It's about a serial killer in Washington State who is hunting along the I-5 corridor at 405, but loves music, loves to dance. Great book, and even a better movie. It's a little dated, time-wise, the movie itself, but great movie. All right, question number 10. The correct answer is C as in cat, an electronics engineer for Hughes Aircraft Space Company. He worked as an electronics engineer, wrote the Bundy book, even went to her home where they met her daughter living alone. Wow. That would be interesting, to go to a masquerade ball. I don't know if I want to borrow. Mary Higgins Clark. You're right, Cement Shoes. You're right, Mary Higgins Clark. I'm staring right at the book on my shelf, too. You're right. I'm looking right at it. It's like 5 feet away. Oops. My bad. All right. Question number 11. Kearney has a secret. Whatever you do, whatever you do, don't tell anyone, especially not David Hill. What secret did Kearney keep from his lover, Hill? Was it A, he kept one victim to himself? B, he was on a TV show, The Love Boat? C, he loved the Jersey Shore cast? Or D, he killed other gay men? What secret did Patrick Kearney keep from his lover, David Hill? E, the original KFC recipe. Ball, but only if Ted is going to be there. Don't think Teddy's going to be making it. There is no proof of it though, but Ted Bundy's ashes were supposedly spread in the Cascade Mountains after he was cremated. Oh, the original Coca-Cola formula. Lot of these. He was a Lawrence Welk fan. Tiny bubbles. A 1 and a 2 and a 3. Lawrence Welk. Oh boy, I used to have to watch Lawrence Welk when I was younger. I actually enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't like torture, but I had to watch it because my dad loved Lawrence Welk. We didn't watch a lot of TV when I was younger, but it was one of his favorite shows. He'd watch Ponderosa and the Lawrence Welk Show. He liked pineapple on his pizza. It's funny, lemon pie. All right. Question 11. The correct answer is A as in apple. He kept one of his victims to himself. This individual is also one that he did not mutilate or chop up in pieces and spread along the highway system. One victim. He killed him and kept him to himself. I would tell you more, but that would then give you the answers to the following questions. But one victim he kept to himself. All right. Question number 12. Mom and Dad used to watch Son and Cher back in the day. Did you know, earlier I told you that Patrick loved to enter sweepstakes and giveaways. Did you know he actually won several? He gave the prizes away to his neighbors a lot of the time, except when he was with David Hill, who wanted to keep everything he won. This caused a lot of fights, which made Patrick go for long drives, then find another victim to kill. So I'll give you a little bit of history on the David Hill and Patrick Kearney relationship. David Hill was married and from Texas, and Patrick, lived in California. They met while they were at another location, which I can't give you the answer to because it gives you the answer to another question. But anyways, they met, and Patrick and David decided to move in together in California. They started a homosexual relationship. That relationship would go on for a period of time, and then they would get into these fights. And every time Patrick would try to leave the relationship, David wouldn't let him. He would talk him into staying in the relationship, and then David would go back to his ex-wife in Texas, and then come back and start the relationship all over again. But this happened over and over again. And while they were together, Patrick would go on these long drives when he was alone to just to calm down, and he would find another hitchhiker and kill that hitchhiker, or go to a gay bar and pick up another individual and kill them. But it always happened after he got into another fight with David Hill. And yes, David Hill, later on would be right there with him to torture the individual or to mutilate the person or whatever. He was part of it. He was not, he didn't have clean hands to say. Ted Bundy was a loser at heart, and to get that hung up on over one woman, you get dumped. So what? Next. Well, love it. Love it. Deals with people in different ways. Cement shoes. Some people can never get by. And welcome, Anonymous. Welcome to tonight's trivia. Next question. Question number 12. Kearney's madness started long before the first victim he killed. How long did he kill gay men in bunches? Yes, I said bunches, as in 3 to 4 a week sometimes. How long did he kill in bunches? Was it A, for 4 years, B, 2 years, C, 11 years, or D, 3 years? Love is a many splendor thing. It is. But back to what I was saying, cement shoes. Some people, they fall in love with one individual and they stay with that and even if a relationship ends, they stay in love with that person forever, or they try to find surrogates to replace the love of that individual. A lot of serial killers, though, you'll find that are they get victims that look like maybe their mother. Maybe their rage was originally towards their mother or a sister or an aunt or someone in their past. Maybe it was even a lover, a wife, and they go out and find victims as a surrogate of that individual to have them do what that to give them the love that what they needed. And there's a sexual component to it all. A lot of times with serial killers, not always, but a lot of times. He took turns with the guy from last week. Sorry, I meant B. Said meant gas guy. Banana boat killer. We got C, we have A, we have B. A lot of them have a type. True, Mary. A lot of them do. Like Ted Bundy had a certain type of woman he was looking for. He was looking for a slender, long, straight hair, skinny, outgoing, bubbly attitude. Someone who was willing to help. He targeted certain people of a certain age, body type, and style too. Banana. All right, question number 12. The correct answer is B as in boy, a 2-year period. He didn't always kill 3 or 4 people, per week, but at the height of his actual killing spree, it was 3 to 4 individuals a week over a 2-year period. Jeffrey Dahmer, welcome. Well, Jeffrey, welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a pleasant week. Welcome to the trivia night. All right, moving on to question number 13. Wanted for murder. Patrick and David calmly walked into the police department and pointed at a wanted poster of themselves and said, "That's us." How did police connect Patrick to the crimes? Was it A, the murder of John LeMay, B, his confession, C, his fingerprints, or D, his lover, David Hill, narked on him? Wanted for murder. Patrick and David calmly walked into a police department and pointed at a wanted poster of themselves and said, "That's us." How did police connect Patrick to the crimes? Obviously, they had to connect him to it, in order to make the wanted poster, so they already knew that he was a murderer and wanted for murder. How did they know it? Question number 13. Well, I used to have Richard Kalinsky as a profile picture, but Kalinsky would have killed and eaten Dahmer. Smith, is your profile picture, is that Keegan from The Walking Dead? Your profile picture now? I mean, fingerprints on his Pokemon cards. Don't touch my Pokemon cards. B or D? So, I'm going with D. Prophesized his murder in one of his novels, says Pigeon Mac. Chad Daybell prophesized his murder in one of his novels. Chad Daybell's books are so bad. No, it's just a mob boss picture. Oh, okay. I mean, in the tiny icon, it kind of looks like Keegan with a cigar. So, all right, question number 13. Wanted for murder. Patrick and David calmly walked into the police department and pointed at a wanted poster of themselves and said, "That's us." How did the police connect him to the crimes? Ladies and gentlemen, the murder of John LeMay, A as in apple, is how they connected him. John LeMay was Patrick and David's last victim. Patrick and David's last victim was John LeMay, and the police department, when I was investigating the murder of John LeMay, all of John LeMay's friends said he left with David Hill. His friends, all of them knew who David Hill was, and they said that's the guy that he left with. So they started investigating David Hill, and then they found out that Patrick was his gay lover, and they resided in the same home. And when they searched the place, they found evidence that both of them together had been killing other gay men in the California area. And they put out a warrant for them and made the wanted poster for both of them. But the murder of John LeMay. Question number 14. Patrick Kearney was once married, but marriage wasn't for him, since he was gay and loved young men and boys. How long was he married? Question number 14. A, 1 year, 8 months. B, 2 years, 5 months. C, 1 year, 10 months. Or D, 0 years and just 10 months. How long was Patrick Kearney married? And in case you're wondering, he was once married to a woman. Jeffrey Dahmer is going with B. Amy is going with A. Medgasky, D. Pigeon Mac, 144,000 days. Lemon Pie is going with D. Cement Shoes, 20 minutes. Tops. But once Patrick Kearney was divorced from his wife, he never went back, unlike David Hill, who kept on going back to his ex-wife over and over again. He never looked back after his marriage ended. The ring bearer. He was married until he hit on the ring bearer. Oh my God. The ring bearer at my wedding was a little girl, Sammy. Sammy usually, she comes into some of my live streams. She's been a follower of my content for years. She's all grown up now, though. I mean, nowadays they call it a bisexual. So wrong. Patrick Kearney was once married, but marriage wasn't for him, since he was gay and loved young men and young boys. How long was he married? The correct answer to question 14, ladies and gentlemen, is D as in dog. He was married for exactly 10 months. 10 months. That is marriage to the actual divorce itself was 10 months. Because up until the actual signing of the divorce papers, he was still legally married up until that point. So that was only 10 months. Good evening, Aunt B. Stop by to say hello. Good evening. I hope you were doing well. All right, question number 15. Oh, did you know? One more, did you know? Did you know David and Patrick Kearney had a very abusive relationship? David used to beat Patrick when they got into fights and scream at him. The worst David Hill's temper got, mainly when he drank, he would relieve himself on Patrick. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he would pee on him and scream at him. He was nothing and deserved nothing. This ended their relationship for a time, so Patrick packed up and went home to beat his ex-wife instead. The lovers made up and went right back to killing. But over and over again during the relationship. And in case you're wondering if this was something that Patrick Kearney confessed to, no. It was something that David Hill confessed to. And then they brought it to Patrick and he said, yeah, well, these things happen in relationships. I kid you not. The man would beat him, and then Patrick would clean himself up and get in his car and leave and go on these long drives over and over again. And that picture is of Patrick and of David Hill. Next, question number 15. They call that a golden shower in the fetish world. I'm not being political, but wasn't there like a rumor that Donald Trump did that with like a Russian hooker or something as well? Oh well, take it as you may. I just remember something about that popped into my head. Question 15. Unlike most serial killers, never hunted close to home or in areas knew well. He got his thrill that way. One time he did, though. His very first victim. Where did he bury his very first victim? Was it A, in Culver City behind his apartment? B, Skid Row, downtown Los Angeles? C, San Francisco near a boathouse? Or D, San Diego in an actual cemetery? Who was definitely the most handsome killer? That's a good question. It all depends on what the individual finds handsome, Jeffrey. A lot of people think that Ted Bundy was definitely a good-looking man. Especially, you have to take the time that he actually killed, not using today's standards. But then there's other people who say that Israel Keys was an attractive individual. It all depends upon the individual, I guess. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. E, next to Jimmy Hoffa. Where did he bury his very first victim? And it is true. Most serial killers hunt within a certain geographic location of their actual home in areas that they know. So say they live on the corner of 21st and Vine in Los Angeles. They will hunt within a circumference area around them because they know exactly the ins and outs of where the law enforcement might be and how to get away. Serial killers are just like people who rob homes. Jeffrey Dahmer, Taylor Shaw Business says you were. Mid-gas guy is going with B, Skid Row, downtown Los Angeles. Kearney, unlike most serial killers, never hunted close to home or in areas he knew well. He got his thrills this way. Karen, good evening and welcome. to tonight's trivia. We are on question number 15 of 18. The answer to question number 15 is A as in Apple. Culver City, behind his actual apartment. Him and David dug a shallow grave out behind the apartment complex itself and buried his very first victim there. That victim would stay in that shallow grave undisturbed for years. It wasn't until his actual confession that he led authorities where the body was. And at that point, it was nothing but skeletal remains. But his first victim was buried behind the actual apartment complex. And don't forget, his very first victim was a hitchhiker. That was a question earlier. But or did you know? I don't think serial killer is handsome, but Jodi Arias is pretty. I think Jeffrey has to be on that list. Jeffrey, I mean, he isn't like a hideous individual. I mean, he's not the Albert Fish of the world, or some of the others out there, serial killers wise. But I mean, if you want to put Jeffrey on a list, that'd be an interesting list of like who rank these serial killers by beauty. You never know. That Jeffrey would probably be on there. All right. Next question. Question 16. Kearny is believed to have killed well more than 43 young gay men in the years between 1975 and 1977. How many known victims have never been found? How many have never been found? Was it A, 11 and one child, age 12? B, 13 men, 2 children, ages 9 and 13? C, 9 men, no children? Or D, 5 men he confessed to killing? Mantis Shrimp, most handsome serial killer. Shia Hoovers is attractive. I'd make it a poll on my community tab, but you're only allowed 5 different options, of like rank these, like who's the most attractive. We could, have a poll, but yeah, you can only do 5. I mean, and a good singer. Oh, cement shoes. and how about also flexible? Did some handstands in the interrogation room and danced around. Jeffrey Dahmer is going with D. Cement D. Kittiku B. Amy C. LOL says Madagascar. Mary's going with D as well. Question number 16. All right, the answer to question number 16 is, matter of fact, D, as in dog. 5 men that he actually confessed to. He told them where he buried the bodies, but between the time of his actual burials and discarding of those victims, the geographic location had changed immensely. Matter of fact, 2 of the individuals where he disposed of their remains after he had cut them up and buried their bodies or discarded them, now there are $1 million homes sitting overlooking the Pacific Ocean on that property. The road has been moved about 75 yards away from where it used to be. So it could be within a 100 square foot or yard, 100 yard area, and they're not about to dig up the homes, and because they believe that the area was probably, the bones got dug up when they built the foundations to these homes, and they're no longer there. But there are 5 men that he confessed to and told them and led them to areas of where he discarded these bodies, and nobody was able to ever find them. Even with ground penetrating radar that they looked in these areas where they got the approval from the homeowners, they were unable to find any remains. How would you like to live in one of those homes? The $1 million mansion you build along the Pacific coast, overlooking the ocean, and you find out that there were people buried on your property. Kind of poltergeistist, isn't it? Kearny kept newspaper clippings from Dean Corll's murders. Ooh. Did you know David Hill and Patrick Kearney, besides being called the trash bag killers, were also called the highway killers? The same name given to William Bonin and Stephen Kraft. It gets even stranger though. David Hill actually knew William Bowden and served time with him, yet neither, as far as history knows, knew that the other was a serial killer. They met at San Quentin prison. They were also called the highway killers, same as William Bowden and Stephen Kraft. I'd rather have a one-bedroom apartment. Amy, good question. Well, look at no further than Samuel Little. He killed what 98, 99 women in his lifetime, and he drew and painted pictures of every single one of them as he relived and recounted on video all of the murders of the different women to a Texas Ranger. While he was incarcerated in California before he died, he recounted every single one of the murders. Didn't remember a lot of details about them personally, other than where he got them, where he killed them, what he took from them as a trophy, and then where he, and how he discarded them and got away with the crimes. And he has sent, they're still on this giant scavenging hunt across the United States for, a lot of his victims. But he knew enough about them. Oh, that she was a hooker, but she worked at, once at a gas station. Oh, boom, there you go. Now we go to the gas station, and you can be able to put a name to the actual. Oh, there was a lady named Cheryl, who, just using it as an example, there lady who worked there named Cheryl, who matches this description, who disappeared on this date, like he said, in Oklahoma. He never lied about it, and he recounted it was like him watching a film in his head of each and every one of his crimes. Was offended when the police thought that he could be the killer of Randy Kraft's victims, who I saw a documentary on Samuel Little. Samuel Little is definitely an interesting individual, in and out of jail and prison his entire life. And he got so many slaps on the wrist and so many second chances. It's unbelievable how he was never connected to all these murders well before. Samuel remembered all that, and good to remember where my keys are. Too good. I always put my keys in the same place. That's how I remember. Did he pass away yet? Samuel Little? Yes. Yeah, he died what, a year ago, 2 years ago. I think it was liver failure, liver cancer, or something like that, at the state hospital, at the actual penitentiary in California. I don't remember which one off the top of my head though. All right, moving on. Bonus question number 1. Every victim of Patrick Kearney and David Hill were killed the same way. He had a very strict method to his madness. How were they killed? Was it A, they were stabbed to death? B, they were shot and killed? C, they were all hung and killed? D, they were stabbed and shot? Every victim of Patrick Kearney and David Hill were killed the same way. He had a very strict method to his madness. But I watched the documentary about Samuel Little, and that Texas Ranger that he confessed to about all that pizza and was it Dr. Pepper? Is that what he drank? Dr. Pepper? But he just supplied him with Dr. Pepper and pizza, and he would just talk about all the crimes, all the murders he committed across the United States. But he said it was like him playing a movie in his head and reliving each and every one of them. But he did it all on video, on top of painting pictures of each and every one of the victims. Forced to watch the Jersey Shore Marathon, said Sun and Shoes. Samuel Little sucks. But he kept trophies of every single one of his victims, and he stored them in different locations across the U.S. That woman that survived, what a miracle. Yeah. Well, don't forget the lead singer of the band Blondie, Debbie Harry, was almost a victim of Ted Bundy. She escaped Ted Bundy's grasp. She got in his car, and then she just got a creepy vibe about him for some reason. And then when she tried the door handle from inside the car, it wouldn't work to let her open the door. So she reached out through the window and knew where the button was on the outside of the door, and she rolled out of the car when he turned. But Debbie Harry was almost murdered by Ted Bundy. There have been some that have escaped the grasp of these serial killers, but many don't. Kearney said you can put a small animal on an anthill and disappear right in front of your eyes. I can only find about a 15-minute video about Little. Some of it you have to, if you're looking on Medgasky, if you're looking on YouTube, don't look on YouTube. Try Netflix or Hulu, but more Netflix. There are a lot of documentaries about serial killers are not on YouTube, because YouTube loves to age gate content. So unless you're logged into a verified account on YouTube, no one can ever see it. Always listen to those vibes. I wish that was true. I wish I'm pretty damn sure I've met a serial killer. And I got myself in a situation where I'm just like, you are such a dumbass. But anyways, bonus question number 1. The correct answer to question 17 is B as in boy. Every one of them was shot with the same handgun. He shot them all. David Hill would sit in the back seat of the car. He was in the front seat of the car. Or David Hill wasn't with him at all, and then he picked David Hill up afterwards. But all of them were shot. Bonus question number 2. What branches of the U.S. military did Patrick Kearney and David Hill serve in? Was it A, the Navy and Army, B, the Air Force and Space Force, C, Army and Air Force, or D, Space Force and Coast Guard? What branches of the U.S. military did Patrick Kearney and David Hill serve in? They're on Tubi TV. Ted Bundle. Excuse me. Question number 18. What branches of the U.S. military did these two sickos serve in? B as in Brady Bunch. That's a good one, right, Cart? B as in Brady Bunch. E, target practice. E, the Village People. They served in the Village People. I could picture them. One's the the cop, and the other one is the Indian in the Village People. Oh, YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. Question number 18. What branches of the U.S. military did Patrick Kearney and David Hill serve in? No. Question number 18. The correct answer is C as in cat, Army and Air Force. And that is how they met. Earlier I said I couldn't tell you where they met, but they met when one was in the Air Force. At the time, they met on the base. Army, Navy. No, it was Army and Air Force. All right. How did you do tonight on the trivia? You do not have to give yourself a letter grade. It is completely optional. If you wish to do so, the two bonus questions, questions 17 and 18, are worth 1 point each. This is completely optional. Some people like to give themselves a letter grade. Other people don't. I hope you just had fun as we did the trivia, but it's completely optional. Anyways, this is the list of the cases that that have been suggested the most. And yes, I do have an additional list of 26 other names that have been topics for the different nights. So Patrick Kearney is listed on the list there. We just did part 2, but I have an additional 5 more votes for a part 3 of Patrick Kearney that would be more on Patrick Kearney and David Hill, where only about the last 5 questions, dealt with Patrick Kearney and David Hill. Freaking Mountain Lion, Barry Morphew level. Their bond was $500,000 each. Also, the judge, John Hughes, sentenced him to life without the possibility of parole in 7 years. But Patrick Kearney is obviously, suggestion is still on the list because, like I said, I have 5 more votes for it to be, a part 3 as well. And G, not good. Well, 12 right, missed 6. There you go, Kitty Q. Anthony Sowell, the Cleveland Strangler. Is Sowell on the list? On the screen? I do not see Sowell on the screen, but let me get the list. It's actually right here. Sowell is on the list. Only has 1 vote. So I will mark that down as 2 votes now. One more for Sowell. H.H. Holmes is on the list. I know Holmes is on the list. He's right above Albert Fish. The second, so on the right-hand side. But yes, DC Sniper already done. No, I have not done these. These are the Mary. These are the ones that I haven't done yet. If it doesn't have a part 2 next to it, that means I haven't done it. I haven't covered it at all. But the DC Sniper is on the list. I will put another one down. Another vote for DC Sniper. George Lopez, the comedian. Dahlia. Not on the list? I'm surprised that one's not on the list. It's a good one. Inner Peace. Surprised Dahlia's not on the list. Write it down. Dahlia. Diplo. O-L-I-T-O. I live in an area where they were shooting people. Ooh. Stephanie Larza, female cops who kill. Ooh. Daniel Bobo Curlin, Square. Good evening, Square. If you missed the trivia, if you're just watching along, you can always watch it and rewind. Daniel Bobo Curlan. I'm not familiar with David Bobo Curlan, but I wrote it down. I'll look into it. I'll be here no matter who it is. Just love the trivia night. Well, thank you, Kitty Q. Appreciate it. There's a female cop, Antoinette something on death row in Louisiana for murder. Good evening. Try the wine. Good evening. Try the wine. I mean, I live where the DC sniper was. Oh. Again, ladies and gentlemen, in case you're new here, this past week we lost a really good friend and a YouTube creator and social media creator. My friend Linda, who ran the YouTube channel Checking Convictions, passed away. And her friends and family are doing the best they can to kind of hold it together. I did pin an update from her daughter, Georgia, on my community tab. So if you go to the community tab, you'll see a pinned comment at the top where they're asking for donations. But you don't have to. I mean, it is completely optional. If you can, shoot them a couple bucks on any of the links that they posted. But I'm gonna miss Linda. Gonna miss her immensely. She was always my northern star, my shining light. And for a lot of people, especially those who, worked, the Brendan Dassey case and trying to, make, and get that corrected. She's going to definitely be missed by a lot of people. Thank you, Interpeace. She is definitely an angel. She was an angel when she was here with us. But she's definitely now an angel watching over her daughters and the rest of her extended family and friends. I have to believe that. But this is the community. In case you want to, take a screenshot, read through this. This is the post from Linda herself. So many people have been asking about how long, didn't know she was sick or whatever. She had posted this not too long before. The cancer was pretty aggressive in nature once it went through the lymph nodes, on the one side of her body. I hate to end it on a downer note like that, but I mean, this is real life we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. It's fun and games and everything until, they say until someone, loses an eye or you lose someone close to you. Like that, you can find that on her channel, Checking Convictions, underneath on the community tab of her channel. Her daughter Georgia, youngest daughter Georgia, is currently taking over her YouTube channel for a short period of time to, until we get the word out, until everything has worked its way out. I don't think that Georgia or anyone else in her family will be taking over full time, but that would be speculation on my part to say so. That they're not. So I have no idea. But right now, that's where it's at. Well, I hope everyone had a pleasant evening playing, trivia tonight. Again, I'm sorry for the downer, but that is life. None of us get out of this life alive. Deuteron lost a great technical person also. Huh. Well, thank you, Kitiku. Thank you for being here. Thank you to everyone who has been here, for trivia night, not only tonight, but throughout, the last, geez, almost 6 years that I've been doing this. I'm going to continue to do trivia nights forever, and, until I inevitably croak, probably right there or maybe right over there. And I know the picture you're seeing on your screen right now shows a complete disarray. I haven't cleaned up my desk or anything this week. Had a lot of things going on. Not easy. But thank you again to everyone again. Like I was saying, that have been here, and played trivia with me. I really enjoy doing these trivia nights. One of these nights, we'll jump back into, and do another one on different cults, religious cults. But that seems to be a dividing subject. So many people are like, "Oh, this one's aligned with my beliefs," or "This one's aligned this way." No matter what you believe in, I'm not telling you you can't believe in it. Just there are some out there that have giant pitfalls to them. Thank you for another great trivia night, Will, and thank you for all being here. Stay safe and happy Thanksgiving. Yes, and you as well, NFTs. Everyone, I wish you all, a happy, Thanksgiving. I've got 22 people who are coming to my house for Thanksgiving. Some of them are arriving Wednesday morning early. I have to go pick them up from the airport. Yay for me. But I'm doing all of the cooking myself, except for the pumpkin pies, which my daughter will be doing, along with the cherry cobbler. She'll be doing the cherry cobbler and the pumpkin pies. The rest of it is all me. Sometimes you can't have everything organized and or clean. Life happens, right? Isn't that true, Rycart? Yeah, see the floorboard of my truck. More crap in my truck than I need to. I need to clean that damn thing out. I got just enough room in my truck right now I can sit. That's a chaotic sign of a chaotic mind is the way I like to look at it. The plane. Tattoo says the plane. But yeah, 22 people will be here. Relatives are flying in from as far away, some from Vegas, a couple from Wisconsin. But I hope everyone has a safe and happy holiday. Remember, if you can't find something to do something for for yourself. If you don't have family or friends or someplace to go for Thanksgiving, just do something for yourself. Treat yourself to nothing else. Just sit down and watch some Netflix and make some popcorn. Just relax. Your brother-in-law is doing the turkey this year. I just told him don't F it up. Ah, man, I got a huge ass turkey that it barely even fits on the damn shelf. I have it in the refrigerator that's just outside the studio here. Big sucker. It's got to be like a 20-pound turkey. Yeah, I'm doing a turkey, a spiral ham, and it's a roast. I have to tie the roast up. At Nico Jenkins. Nico Jenkins. All right. Added. Well, everyone, I'm going to take off there. Again, if you love the trivia, make sure to check my channel Monday morning.
on
the community tab for my channel. If you're a subscriber, you just scroll over community, click on that, and right there at the top of the page, underneath, once you click on community, I post a trivia question every single Monday morning before 10 a.m. on Pacific Coast time, which would be 1 o'clock East Coast of the United States, same time. But by 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, I'll have a trivia question and I'll let you know what the trivia is for next Sunday. So it's kind of like an advance notice, like, hey, maybe you want to read up on it, study it, familiarize yourself with the subject matter. But I post a community, a trivia question on the community tab by 10 a.m. So never know. It could be Carl, might not be, or it could be. All right, everyone. You all have a terrific week ahead. Bye.